All right, guys, welcome back to the Green Zone. I'm your host, Jimmy Havener. This is episode 29, nearing that 30th anniversary episode coming up. But this is episode 29 of the Green Zone, where I get you into that zone to make that green. I'm going to give you your betting advice, your fantasy advice, everything you need in your one-stop shop for football and your NFL needs for Week 10 coming up at the 2019 season, guys. At the end of the podcast, as usual, I will go over last week's action, Week 9. Feels like a decade ago, but yeah, we're going to get through it, baby, and we're going to get through it together. Hands held and grasped firm. All right, fools. First up, we have the head-to-head pickups. That's right. I'm going to give you the head-to-head matchup winners for each and every contest. Last week, we went 7-6. Not very good. Let's pick that up this week. So as we like to say here on the Green Zone, let's kick it off. Alrighty then. First up, we have the Giants at the Jets in a game that outside of New York, nobody gives a shit about. Guys, I'm going to have to go ahead and go with the Giants here. Danny Dimes is going to be throwing them all day against that Jets defense, who is going to be tired for being on the field all day because their offense can't produce a damn first down after watching the Jets allow the Dolphins to get their first win of the year. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Jets are pretty damn awful. Give me the Giants in a battle of the shits. Go ahead and enjoy it, New York. Mwah. Next, we've got the Falcons at the Saints. This one's a little bit more interesting, guys, because it's a divisional game. Other than that, there is no interest. The Saints are a much better team than the Atlanta Falcons. This one is also in New Orleans, so it's in a nice, good dome for Drew Brees to sit back in the pocket and throw it downfield to Michael Thomas all day. Alvin Kamara makes his return. Beware, Atlanta. You're in the path of a juggernaut right now, and I just don't expect the Saints to lose this game at all. Falcons may put up a good fight. This may be a high-scoring affair. But I like the Saints, not only for their offense, but their defense as well. They've been a well-balanced team. It's why I picked them before the season started to go to the Super Bowl. I'm liking that pick more and more every week. Give me the Saints, no problem there. Chiefs at Titans, guys. Mahomes, the prodigal son, returns. He's back. Mahomes jerks and twists his knee, and he's out for the year. No, I'm just kidding. He's going to be all right, guys. I hope he is. I like to see Mahomes back there doing his thing. He's awesome to watch. Definitely a spectacle. They're playing the Titans. Titans are an underwhelming team, in my opinion. They were that middling team last year. Thought they could take a step up this year with good coaching and good defense and a good rushing attack from Henry. Instead, they took a couple steps back. Mariota is out. Tannehill is in, and they're playing a little bit better. That's a good move because Mariota is not a professional quarterback. But neither is Tannehill, guys. So Ryan will get you as far as he can. It won't be far enough against the Chiefs, however. I like the Chiefs winning this one. Originally thought this game could be a low-scoring affair if Mahomes wasn't back, but with Mahomes in there, he'll get his points. I like the Chiefs going on the road, winning an important game there. Can we quit the door squeaking back there? What's going on? I think I've got a dog stuck, boys and girls. All right, next we got the Ravens and the Bengals. Look, we've already seen this show before, guys. The Ravens are a much better team than the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are possibly one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm not really going to go over this game that much. The Ravens win it. They win it easy unless something crazy goes on, right? It's the NFL, so whenever we prepare for the zig, it zags. Whenever we prepare and get ready for the zag, it zigs, right? So maybe something crazy happens. Maybe it's a closer game than expected. But I like the Ravens. I like them big. Lamar Jackson's going to be all over this Bengals rush defense that doesn't exist. Their front four pass rush that doesn't exist. So I like Mark Andrews getting his, Mark Ingram getting his, and Lamar Jackson getting his. I almost had 3 marks in there, right? Anyways, Ravens get this one. They get it easy. Next, we got the Bills and the Browns, guys. This one I've gone back and forth for a little bit now. I'm going to finally pick and stay with the Bills. I know I've been saying all year that they're an above-average team, right? They're an above-average team that's playing a very weak schedule. So whenever they come up against these bigger and better opponents like the Patriots, and I don't know if they've got anybody else on their schedule, they lose, right? Hence the reason they're 6-2. Patriots and Eagles are their 2 losses. Teams like Dolphins, Jets, Redskins make up their other 6 wins. I do like them adding or making sure that Singletary gets his totes. I think he's a young, ascending talent in the NFL, and that's what it's all about nowadays. However, the Bills are still just a slightly above average team. Josh Allen is still learning. He's still progressing and getting better. On the other hand, you got the Browns, right? They're a young team that too much expectation was put on them before the year started. They're not living up to it, just as I predicted before the season. Go back to episode 1 if you want to on the Green Zone. But look, the Browns, do they bounce back this week? Maybe. But they've been considerably underwhelming all year. I'm going to go with the Bills in kind of a coin toss of a game. Cleveland's been real bad. They've been real bad at home. Give me the Bills. And what is one of their bigger tests, after the Patriots game and after the Eagles game, I guess the next tier down would be the Browns. You got to beat teams like this, so you can only play the teams that are on your schedule. Bills, I get it. Go ahead and get that win there. Next, we got the Cardinals and the Buccaneers, guys. After the Buccaneers almost took out the Seahawks, and then I saw that you look back and you see that they beat the Rams, was predicted here, and you start to think, are the Buccaneers the NFC West, stoppers or upsetters or whatever you want to call them? Because they gave the Niners a run for their money in Week 1. They beat the Rams, and then they give the Seahawks a run for their money. I'm going to say the Buccaneers beat the Cardinals. Yes, the Cardinals are on the road. They're going to Tampa. They've had a longer rest, just like the Niners have, coming off that Thursday night game. Plenty of time to prepare for this one, so I do think it'll be close. But I think in the end, the Buccaneers and Jameis just barely squeak out that W in Tampa. Next, we got the Lions and the Bears, guys. Oh my, this is going to be an interesting game, really, because the Bears have a great defense and an atrocious offense. An offense that cannot move the ball to save their life, so their defense ends up staying on the field all game. They get tired, then you are able to exploit that defense. We'll go over that later when we review last week's game. On the other hand, you got the Lions. Lions, I told you before the year started, I said this team is going to be a competitive team. They're going to give you some upsets. They're going to give you some nail-biters that they're more than often going to end up on the wrong side of the win-loss column, as typical Lion fashion goes. I've gone back and forth on this game as well, guys. It is a divisional game, so we know it's probably going to be close. I'm going to say that the Bears, my gut told me the Lions. I'm going to say Bears. We'll talk about the Lions covering later. All right? We'll talk about it. Next, we got the Dolphins and the Colts, guys. Jacoby Brissett, unlucky injury. If you go back, you watch the replay, not only did Quentin Nelson step back and onto his ankle, but then Quentin Nelson fell back and onto his knee, which caused the MCL sprain. Prayers and thoughts go out to you, and good vibes and good energy go out to you, Jacoby. You were having a great year. You were proving me wrong amongst other doubters as well. On a year you were playing very well, where luck kind of dropped out at the last minute. It seemed like the luck for the team was gone as well. But Brissett has lifted that team. He's kept him alive, and now he's out. Enter Brian Hoyer. Hoyer is a professional second string quarterback who is serviceable. He'll get you through it, right? Niner fans know he's not a starting quarterback, but he is a good second string quarterback. So he comes in, he throws 3 touchdowns on with relative ease. He's got another nice and easy matchup here with the Dolphins. It's a, second string guy that's trying to just get W's to keep his team alive and afloat. It's a dream come true to have this matchup with the Dolphins. I'm going to say the Colts get it done. They get it done with selective throwing from Hoyer and a lot of running from Marlon Mack. Next, we got the Panthers at the Packers, guys. I know all of you saw that upset last week with the Chargers striking the Packers down with a bolt of lightning there from the upset gods, but the Packers bounced back, and they bounced back big at home versus the Carolina Panthers. Panthers had a nice game. They're coming off from a nice win against the Titans. It's going to be short-lived, unfortunately, as Aaron Rodgers and the Packer team are out for blood and out for vengeance. Watch out for the Packers. Next, we got the Rams and the Steelers, guys. This break was brought to you by Diet Coke. Oh my, I thought I'd take a longer sip. That way I don't have to go back to it as quickly. It's a bold strategy. We're going to see if it pays off, boys and girls. All right, guys, we got the Rams and the Steelers. Look, the Rams are the better team. Even though they're on the road and they're cross-country, they should be able to go to Pittsburgh and win this game. Pittsburgh has a surprisingly good defense. I told you guys last week that they would beat the Colts. They did. I called that my gut game, all right? They've got a good defense. Mason Rudolph is not very good, on the other hand. So the problem is their offense isn't that great. That defense can hold them and can create close games, which they can eke out with good coaching and good execution. through John Connor and other guys. I'm sorry, James Conner and other guys on the John Connor, the Terminator, on the Pittsburgh Steelers team. So they're missing some athletes. They're missing some skill players. Of course, we know everyone that's missing from that team. But with that defense, they can get things done. Having said all that, the Rams are the better team. The Rams are the defending NFC champions. I think the Rams go into Pittsburgh, and I think they get the win. We've got the Vikings at the Cowboys, guys, and you know how it goes with me trying to handicap Kirk Cousins. It's like me trying to handicap the Raiders. I just can't do it. They're the most inconsistent, QB and team I've ever watched. It's crazy, but I like the Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys have underachieved and played poor in a couple of games this year, but I like them out the gate in that winning that division. So I kind of continue to think that they're going to keep this ball rolling now that they got a little momentum going. So I like the Cowboys winning another game that's very important to them. It's also an important game for the Vikings. What I mentioned earlier about Kirk Cousins is divisional games and important games, crucial games, he tends to get the L instead of the W. So I'm going to say that trend continues. The Cowboys win. Kirk Cousins, a couple of plays that show you why he's not the clutch quarterback and is a type quarterback instead. We'll review that later as well. And then finally, guys, we got Monday Night Football. That's right, I'll be there with my son and my friends. Seahawks at 49ers, guys. Niner faithful. No, I'm not going with Niner gang. I don't think that's cool. We are not going to be happy with me on this one. I am going to say the Seahawks win this game. Yes, I think that the undefeated season comes to a close here. George Kittle, doubtful. Joe Staley, still out. Mike McGlinchey, still out. Juszczyk, still out. Ahkello Witherspoon, still out. Niners are now missing Quan Alexander. Arguably, their linebacker that has played better than any this year. Look, it'd be far beyond me to say something like the Niners can't overcome an injury. They've been doing it all year. They're 8-0 overcoming injuries. That's the dog that was stuck behind the door, if you see her in the background there. She made her way out. Good. Next, we've got the Seahawks at the Niners, guys. I don't know why I just said that, but the bottom line is I don't think they can overcome this many injuries. So there was talk about Staley coming back. There was talk about McGlinchey coming back. That's still up in the air. We'll see. That would make a huge difference if they can, but without Kittle, without Quan, and by the way, Kittle's doubtful, which doesn't mean out, but it's pretty close to it. I just don't see it, guys. I think Seattle comes into Levi's and beats the Niners. I think it's a close game. I think the Niners do their thing, but Russell Wilson is on fire right now, and I don't know anyone who can stop Tyler Lockett on the Niners defense. We'll see. So far, I've been wrong a lot about it when doubting the Niners this year. So this may be good for the Niner faithful. All right, guys, that is it for the head-to-head pick'ems. We are now moving on to our fantasy advice. Last week in fantasy, I gave you 12 top 10 players. That is, I give you 3 QBs, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, and 3 defenses. 12 were top 10 for you guys last week. That includes 2 number ones. I have been nailing it all year in fantasy. If you guys are playing daily fantasy, you are probably loving this and coming back and watching the Green Zone every day because I guarantee you you're winning some money. I know I am on daily fantasy, so there's no way that you aren't unless you're just not listening. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means you should listen twice as much as you talk. So listen up, damn it. All right, next we've got so first up, guys, we've got quarterbacks. Ooh, let's definitely start the music. I got NFL yearbook highlight music. We got to start that, please. Quarterbacks, Drew Brees versus the Atlanta Falcons. Enough said. Next, Lamar Jackson, Cincinnati Bengals. Need I say more? Open your ears. Jimmy G, Seattle Seahawks. That's a surprising one we will talk about. Jimmy G is a beast, and I've been saying it for a while, guys. You give the guy an offensive line, and you give the guy a legit wide receiver to go with the best tight end in football, and you see what he can do. And look what he can do. He could stare down the defense. He could throw a ball on a dime downfield with pressure in his face and make the connection if he just has a legitimate wide receiver candidate. Now he has Emmanuel Sanders, who has gone for over 100 yards in the first 2 games and a touchdown, and the 2 games that he's played with the 49ers. I expect that to continue against a weaker Seattle secondary than we're used to since the dismantle of the Legion of Boom. Yes, we've got one on our end. And I like the matchup. The Seahawks are not, they're giving up a lot through the air. So give me Jimmy G in a clutch Monday Night Football game. And then last, guys, if you're looking to make a discount on your quarterback in daily fantasy, or maybe you need to stream somebody because your quarterback has a bye. I know there are a lot of buys this week or a lot of players on bye this week. I like Jameis Winston. The Cardinals are atrocious at defending the pass. Patrick Peterson is good, but he's kind of losing it a little bit, right? He's lost maybe 1, 2, maybe even 3 steps, but Jameis Winston, though inconsistent, does have the potential to throw 4 interceptions instead of 4 picks. I think this is the day. These are one of those multiple touchdown games that you see from Winston instead of a multiple interception game that we also see from Winston. All right, moving on to running backs, guys. Marlon Mack. Yes, you may not know of the Mack attack or the Big Mac Daddy down there in Indy, but he is a beast, and do not take him for granted, ladies and gentlemen. Just because he's quiet and doesn't brag, or he's not braggadocious, he's very adept at running the ball. And more importantly, the Colts offensive line is even better and more adequate at rush blocking. Yes, Quentin Nelson, the same guy that fell on Jacoby Brissett's leg, has been opening holes downfield for the Colts running game all year long. He's going to continue that. I like the Colts running the ball with consistency against that weak rush defense of the Miami Dolphins, and then just timely throwing from Brian Hoyer. Nothing that you want to focus on in fantasy other than Marlon Mack. He's going to get a lot of handoffs. Last time I told you to take Marlon Mack in daily fantasy, he had 2 or 3 carries for about 25, 30 yards, and then he got injured for the rest of the game. If he stays healthy, the guy will get his totes, the guy will get his yards, the guy will get his stats. Trust me on this one. Next, we got Derrick Henry. Yes, Henry's a beast. He's hard to bring down. If you don't believe me, go ahead and watch the highlights from last week. Derrick Henry, getting momentum behind him, it's going to be hard for anybody to tackle. Not to mention, he's got a plus matchup this week. The Chiefs' rush defense is really, really bad. It's why I liked Dalvin Cook last week. The Vikings aren't smart. They decided they'd throw against the worst rush defense in the league. It didn't really pay off for them. They lost a close one. Derrick Henry and the Titans and Vrabel will not make that mistake. Mike loves to run the ball. They'll be giving it to Henry and giving it to him often. Go ahead and get yourself Derrick Henry on your daily fantasy, and maybe go out and get yourself an O. Henry chocolate bar or something. I don't know. I don't care. Next, we've got Aaron Jones, guys. Look, I really do expect the Packers to bounce back in a big way this week. I think they got embarrassed by the Chargers last week, and I don't know if that Packer offense and Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams can be held down for 2 weeks in a row. I do know the blueprint to try to beat the Packers and try to beat Aaron Rodgers. Not every team has the personnel to do it. We'll go over that later. This team doesn't. The Panthers do have a better defense than the Chargers. All-around team defense, the Panthers have a better defense. However, they do not have the secondary personnel to bring in extra coverage, dime, nickel, and disguise coverages like that to try to beat Aaron Rodgers in the same way. So, I expect the Packers to bounce back. I expect Aaron Jones and Rodgers to bounce back, but take Aaron Jones as your running back if you can afford it. Next, we've got wide receivers, guys. They're all over the place, right? Mike Evans. He's been a stud. He was a stud last year. Look, he came into the league. He was a stud. Then he had, he kind of evaporated. No one could get him the ball, blah, blah, blah. Injuries, blah, 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 blah. Now he's doing good, right? Last year he played well. This year he's sometimes hit or miss, but when he's hit, boy, is he hit. And last week he was hit. Some would say lit. But honestly, take Mike Evans or take Chris Godwin. I don't really know which one of the two is going to go off, but I know one of them will, and that's because they're going against the Arizona Cardinals. So take one of them and feel good about it. Whoever you like. Doesn't bother me. Next, we've got Michael Thomas. Can't be guarded Mike. He's a stud. And Drew Brees is back, and Drew knows how to get the ball in the hands of his studs. So you mix that with a little concoction, sprinkle a little bit of Atlanta Falcons defense on there, sprinkle a little bit of they're not very good, and sprinkle a little bit of the Saints are probably going to put up a 40 burger on this team on in there, and I like Mike Thomas getting his points and getting in there often. Then finally, guys, faithful, you're not going to love me for this one, but Tyler Lockett. I mentioned it earlier. I don't see anybody on the San Francisco 49ers that can guard Tyler Lockett. Look, I've said that before, right? Week 1, when I saw Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on the roster against the Niners, I believe I said I don't think anyone can guard Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. So they came out with a W there. However, Tyler Lockett with his Russell Wilson connection and the way Wilson's playing this year is a little bit of a different story. I like their chemistry that's been building in the last couple of games. Yes, they've had it before. I get that. Seattle fans, calm down. What I'm saying is you didn't really see the connection between Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson happening as often and consistent as you'd like if you're a Seattle fan at the beginning of this year. The last 2 games, however, they have been connecting and been connecting often. Like 2 long-lost lovers, boys and girls. They are hot. And we are mostly enjoying it, unless you're a Niner fan. So, I hope that it doesn't happen, but I see Tyler Lockett getting his on Monday Night Football. Then finally, guys, we got tight ends. Look, if George Kittle goes, and I don't think he will, unfortunately, he has a mouth-watering matchup. The Seattle Seahawks defense is giving up more yards per catch to any tight end, or to tight ends, than any other team in the NFL. Does that bode well for the most illustrious and talented George Kittle? You better believe it does. Will he be there? That's the problem. The kid's tough. He's got grit. I said kid. Yes, he's younger than me. The bottom line is, guys, he toughed out that knee injury with just pure adrenaline through the end of the first half and into the third quarter or whatever in that last Thursday night game. But he wasn't able to tough it out in the fourth quarter, and now he's been limited in practice this week, and now he's doubtful for Monday Night Football. It's not pointing in the right direction for him. Don't worry, I've got a couple of guys in my pocket that I can give you. Hunter Henry has been lights out the last couple of weeks. Now that he's back from injury, with this new play calling system that San Diego is calling, they were worried that it may limit Hunter Henry's targets. Well, it didn't do that. He's been seeing plenty of them, and I think he continues to see him. And a plus matchup. I don't know why I have Hunter Henry on there, because that game's already over. Scratch all of that. That's okay, because I got Mark Andrews for you guys. He is Lamar Jackson's favorite target, and he will get the ball and get it often against that bungle defense. The only problem is, will Lamar Jackson spread the love, right? The Bengals, or the Bungles are going to give up the points. They're going to lose the game. Ravens are going to win. Probably everybody scores. Everybody wins. You get a win. You get a win. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. I think one of those touchdowns goes to Mark Andrews, right? I think so. All right, and just because I had Hunter Henry on there and they already lost to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football, that was an embarrassing loss, Chargers. We will go with Travis Kelce, because he's the 4th guy that I had in mind. It just left off my list barely. Of course, Travis Kelce's a stud. We all know he is, but now that Mahomes is back, I think he makes a point to get it to Kelce in a plus matchup, and the Lions have troubles and problems guarding the tight end. Look it up. Yeah, I like it. All right, guys, that does it for fantasy advice. Somebody mentioned that they wanted me to, document or give you clock, coaching, I guess, or a little like subtext at the bottom to let you know when each, the head-to-head pick'ems, the fantasy advice, betting advice, and then the Week 8 recap all go through, so you could skip to the favorite part of the video. Look, it's always going to be the same on the Green Zone. Head-to-head pick'ems, fantasy advice, betting advice, weekly recap. That's it. Just fast forward till you hear me talking about one of them. I just bumped the mic there. All right. So next, guys, we have our betting advice. For that, let's cue a little money music. And look, last week we went 6-3. All right. We're building back to that 80% win percentage, right? For the most part this year, we've been just above 50%, which is where we don't want to be. It's where a lot of, betting experts sit. It's where we strive to be better on the Green Zone. So let's do that. Let's get back at it. If you're not familiar with this, where the have you been, man? First look means I went through one time and said, man, I like those bets. And we are killing them on the first look, by the way, guys. If you've gone through and you've listened to the Green Zone, first looks are doing very well. Second takes, not so much. Third glance, believe it or not, have been doing decent. Besides the ones that I lay out here as kind of jokes. But anyways, first look. We got Seahawks +6 versus the Niners. Guys, I think the Seahawks can go into Levi's and beat the Niners straight up with the amount of injuries and things going on with the 49ers right now. If you're giving me 6 points, I'm going to take the Seahawks +6. Bodes well for Niner fans. Don't trip, guys. Every time I bet against the Niners this year, I have lost. Next, we've got the over at 51 in the Saints-Falcons games. I just got done telling you guys that the Falcons don't play defense and the Saints love to play offense, so that bodes well for a high-scoring affair. My only concern here would be that the Falcons don't live up to their end of the bargain. This could be a huge blowout, guys. The Saints are favored by, I believe last time I checked it was 14 points, so it's the only reason I did not take them. It's a little too much, too rich for my blood, if you will, but I will take the over at 51 in that game. Betting on a high-scoring affair indoors on some nice turf for everybody to feel fun and free. Next, we got the Ravens minus 10.5 against the Bengals, guys. This is one of those, this to me feels like a trap game. It feels like a game where everybody knows the Ravens are going to win, right? That's usually when something crazy happens. I really don't think that the Bengals can win this game. I don't see it happening, but crazier things have happened. 10.5 is a lot to cover if the Bengals decide to show up. However, is Andy Dalton still their quarterback there in Cincy? What? Yeah? Okay, give me minus 10.5 for the Ravens. Second take, guys. Packers minus 5 versus the Panthers. I told you earlier, I think the Packers bounce back, and they bounce back strong. They've got the Panthers coming into town. The Panthers are good. Got a better team defense than the Chargers that just shut them down. But give me an angry Aaron Rodgers and an angry Packer team any day of the week. Minus 5. It's a hefty price. I'll take it. I like it. Lions plus 2.5. Guys, I told you we'd come back to this game. Look, I think this can be a close game. I've gone back and forth on it. The Lions win, the Bears win. No, the Lions win. No, the Bears. My gut tells me the Lions are going to win. My 13-year-old son, who's pretty dang good at picking these, tells me the Bears are going to win. We went Bears and head-to-heads. I'm going to say give me the Lions and the points in a close nail-biter of a game that the Lions continue to see themselves in, and it doesn't matter whether they win or lose. Not for us. We're just betting on them plus the points. And then we've got final spot here on our second take. We've got the Rams minus 4 versus the Steelers, guys. Look, there are a lot of games I do not like this week. I'll be honest with you guys. If I was taking my money and betting week to week, this would be a week I would bet low. This would be a week I'd stay away from a lot of games. But I try to give you as many options as possible. We're now getting into some of the bets that I just kind of threw out there to give you guys some options. And that really started at the second take. There's a lot of trap games out there, let's just say, this week. Starting off with the Raiders just, beating the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. After the Chargers beat the Packers, the Raiders, they're inconsistent. But anyways, we've got the Rams minus 4 versus the Steelers, guys. The Rams have the potential to go into Pittsburgh and just annihilate the Steelers. It's a bottom line. They're a much better team. However, whenever the Rams and Goff go against a really plus matchup not a plus matchup, a good defense, they do tend to have a little bit of trouble. They can run into some trouble here in Pittsburgh. That would be the one thing I'd be afraid of. But if I got to go one way on this game, which again, I'm just looking for options for you guys, I go Rams minus the points over Pittsburgh plus the points. This is a letdown game for the Steelers. They just beat the Colts. I understand that it was at home, but no one's expecting the Steelers to do anything at this point. So I see maybe a little bit of a letdown in their future. All right, third glance, guys. Remember, third glance. And be ready for a third glance. For those of you that go to Levi's Stadium, you know the reference I make. All right, Cardinals plus 4 versus the Buccaneers. Like the Buccaneers to win the game, like the game to be close. If you give me 4 points, Kyler Murray running around there, and that Buccaneer pass defense being as bad as it is, give me the Cardinals plus 4. I almost said give me the Buccaneers minus 4, guys, so that should tell you how I feel about this game. The bottom line is the Buccaneers have only allowed one 100-yard rusher against them this entire year so far. So the rush defense is good. The pass defense has allowed just shy of 350 or something like that per game. So a little bit of a contrast there. But, it's no secret that the run attack of the Cardinals is probably a little bit better than their air attack. With Kyler Murray being their main rusher at this point, I think Chase Edwards and David Johnson are still out. David Johnson may be coming back soon, so we'll see. But Kenyon Drake is doing his thing. So the Cardinals will have to try to pass the ball, and I think they can keep it close. Give me the Cardinals plus the points. I do like the over in this game. The over's sitting at 52. Neither of these teams like to play defense other than the rush defense of the Buccaneers. But give me the over at 52 in this game. And then finally, guys, Titans plus 6.5 versus the Chiefs. This is just one of the games that I think is a trap game. I think there's going to be a lot of people on that Chief money line right there thinking Chiefs covering by just one touchdown against the Titans. Of course. Why not? Mahomes is back. Did everybody forget Mahomes is back? I think that's what's going to be the general consensus. And that's why I like the Titans plus the points. Go against the money. Oh, and for the little experiment that we did last week, guys, I went against the money, and I kept track of what was against the money, what was with the money. Against the money bets, we went 3-1. With the money bets, we went, I think it was like 3-2 or something. It wasn't as good. Against the money was better. So we'll look for more trends like that and keep you guys posted. That is it for the betting segment. Get out there, make that money. Yes, I'm aware the Green Zone is also a name of a really bad Matt Damon movie. Close friends of mine get the reason I made that. I did that on purpose. And I'm looking at you, Mike. Week 9 recap. We are here. We're going to go over our last week's, craziness, I should say. It wasn't that crazy, but it was really fun, right? All right, Colts at Steelers, guys. Colts at Steelers. Brian Hoyer comes in and immediately throws a touchdown pass. He will always be a legit backup quarterback in the NFL. Honestly, guys, you could have a lot worse of a backup quarterback there, Indy. So, I understand Jacoby is out. I understand Luck stepped out at the beginning of the season. I understand it's looking like, what the hell is going on? But you can have a lot worse than Brian Hoyer as your backup quarterback. Get well soon, Jacoby. My God, that's refreshing. All right. Oh, yes. Here we go. Yes. I told you that the Pittsburgh defense was good. Did I not? Yes, I did. That pick six by Minkah Fitzpatrick was exactly the type of thing that I was hoping would happen when I said take the Steelers plus the points. So you're welcome if you bet on that. Hopefully you got the money that I got because I was green thumbing through them Bills all week because of that game. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Kenyon Drake. How many really good and talented young players are the Dolphins going to get rid of in this rebuilding process? Because draft picks are good, but I think they're getting rid of guys that they could easily have held on to and are probably hoping to draft with these picks that they're getting in return for these guys. So I'm a little confused on the rebuilding process going on in Miami. I think they got a lot of problems going on there, and it's more than just a rebuilding process. I think from the top down, they're in a lot of trouble, and they have to basically hope that they get the guys like they're getting rid of with their upcoming draft picks. So I don't know what that's about. Did you guys see that start that no one has had, did you guys, I'm reading my notes here, so I'm going to have to look down, I'm going to have to look up. It's a crazy charade. Did you guys see the stat that no one has had more tackles in the first 20 games than Darius Leonard? Okay? Darius Leonard, that's a pretty impressive accomplishment. Congrats to you, buddy. All right, is it just me, or do the Colts always seem to have a wide receiver with a French name? I don't know. I'm just having fun here, but Pierre Thomas, Pascal, there's always somebody running down the field with the Colts football with a French name, or something a fifi. And Tomlin is throwing challenges. Oh, I wanted to make mention of Mike Tomlin at the end of the game there. He was upset, and then he just starts throwing challenge flags left and right, and sort of a mockery of the game, a mockery of the whole. These aren't the pass interference review plays aren't being overturned. I'm just throwing my challenge because I'm upset. I'm pissed. I gotta say it was annoying. It was kind of dumb. And it was an important time of the game, and you need to kind of save those timeouts, so it didn't end up biting him. But as somebody who had money on the game and money on the Steelers, that was pretty annoying. I gotta say, buddy, thanks for almost screwing me over. Vinatieri misses the game winner just after making his last game winner last week. But I gotta say, laces out, Dan. Good God, the holder has to spin that ball. The laces were right in his kicking range, right there. I mean, he booted right on those laces. Terrible, terrible hold. Sorry for you, Adam. And I told you guys the Steelers were going to win that and win that game in what I deemed my gut game. So, good job, Steelers, for making me look brilliant. Next, we got Minnesota at Kansas City, guys, on an important 3rd and 6. This is what I think is important for people to watch if they're not sold on Kirk Cousins. They don't know whether he's somebody that can be a Super Bowl winning type quarterback or whether he's just a mediocre type quarterback. This is important to know. It's an important 3rd and 6. It's early in the game, but it's important. Every point counts. This game came down to a game-winning field goal. Cousins smartly scrambles. There's nobody open downfield. He needed to scramble. It was smart. And then he slides too short of the first down. He had the first down. There was nobody around him. He could have slid past the first down marker. It's not where your slide ends. It's where your slide begins as you're giving yourself up. It's part of the agreement so that people aren't teeing off on your quarterback. He slides short of the first down. They then have to punt. And guess what? Points to the Chiefs afterwards. Guys, I know that's really small things, but those are the things that a mediocre, subpar quarterback does that in the end of the game, you kind of take a look back at the footage and go, that could have maybe won if we gotten a field goal on that drive or maybe even a touchdown. We were driving pretty well, and there was the first down. I don't know, guys. It's important to note those are the type of things that will probably happen in this week's matchup against the Cowboys as well. Here's another one. Tyreek Hill is amazingly good. I don't know how else to describe this guy other than he's a beast. I don't care about, his off-field stuff. I'm not into whether or not he's a good person. I'm just saying as a football player, Tyreek Hill is he's incredible. He's just one of the most athletic athletes I've seen in a long time. That catch that he made where he stretches out, catches the ball. That's a play where people stretch out. Good professional wide receivers stretch out to catch that ball. They catch that ball over the shoulder, and then they're stretched out so far that they end up stumbling. You've seen it a million times, right? He not only stretches out to catch the ball, stretches out full length to catch the ball, but he regains his balance and then has the ability to coil up and spring into the end zone as if he was never stretched out before, which should have turned into a stumble fall, but instead turns into an incredibly athletic dive into the end zone. I mean, it's amazing, guys. I haven't seen athleticism like that in so long. It's just, even if you don't like the guy, you have to respect the talent and at least just give the guy a watch because, good God, that was incredible. It was a good throw. It was a great over-the-shoulder throw, but just the play by Tyreek Hill there was just, it was insane. The NFL finally does the right thing and overturns what was originally a terrible offensive PI call against the Vikings. So, hey, we got one right. Harrison Butker makes his game-winning field goal, and Kirk Cousins loses an important game versus a good team. And so it continues. Just on a side note, Tyreek Hill running next to Damian Williams. At the end of the game, or towards the end of the game, Damian Williams had this long run where he was going for the touchdown. Tyreek Hill comes streaming out of the backfield. I have no idea what's going on with my dogs in the door right now. Apparently somebody's coming soon. It was impressive to see Tyreek Hill's speed on display there, but was anybody else annoyed by that? Yeah, it was kind of annoying. We get it, Tyreek Hill. You're fast. You're athletic. Like, this is Damian Williams' turn to shine. Give it to him. You already do your backflips and stuff. You already had a couple of touchdowns. Let's just give it to Damian for this time. You don't need to be the center of attention at all times. All right, Jets at Dolphins, guys. Fitzmagic, it's back. Stop. What is going on here? Hey. Go on. Oh, good God. Watching my mom's dog, and she's blind, so she's just over there staring in the corner. Guys, this was supposed to say, Fitzmagic, he's back, guys. He throws 3 touchdowns in the first half. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not serious, obviously. He's not back. He's Fitzmagic. He's going to give you something spectacular, like a rabbit out of a hat every now and again, and then every now and again you're going to see the strings and he'll throw 3 or 4 picks, right? That was a catch and a touchdown by Ryan Griffin. I'm not sure how in the world they can overturn that. This turns into the very next play. They overturn that touchdown to Ryan Griffin. It becomes an interception and no points for the Jets. So there must have been a lot of Vegas money on the Dolphins. I feel bad for you Jets fans. That sucks. Props to Sam Ficken for kicking his career-long 52-yarder. Good job, buddy. Miami gets their first W, and the Jets are officially awful. Sam Darnold leads the NFL in most red zone interceptions in the league, one more than Baker Mayfield. So take that for what it's worth. Redskins at Bills, guys. I'm going to get through this soon because the dogs are annoying the hell out of me. Redskins at Bills. I thought it was interesting that Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson were the starting 2 running backs in this game. Hats off to 2 Hall of Fame players. Love you, Frank. Devin Singletary is a very athletic player, and he needs to get the ball more. This is no slide on Gore. I love Gore. He still has a bounce in his step and is getting it done, minus the 4 carries that went for 0 or negative yards at the beginning of that game. I'm simply saying that Singletary needs the ball more. The Bills seem like they're starting to pick up on that, and they're starting to understand that. I picked him up in fantasy a few weeks back because I saw it before them, but they're starting to get it. So, good job. The guy's a beast. Give him the ball more. And this was a good W for the Bills, but let's face it comes against another weak opponent, and if they expect respect, they're going to have to beat teams like the Patriots or other above-average teams that fall on their schedule. So it's a good step in the right direction. You can only play the teams that are on your schedule. Buffalo, I get it, but you're going to have to win important games. This Browns game would be good for you guys to win. Lions at Raiders. This was kind of a crazy game. For the Raiders, this was their first home game in something crazy, like 6 weeks or something real serious like that. When Gruden was asked about it, how he felt about this in a pregame interview, he responded sarcastically with, "Oh, I love it. I think everybody should have to play 6 weeks on the road straight." It was pretty funny and something along those lines. Don't give me, that's not a direct quote, guys. You're in the end zone, or you're on the road. Let me give you a scenario, guys. I'm going to give you a scenario here. You're on the road. You're down 7-0. It's the first quarter. It's 4th and goal on your first offensive drive. What do? You kick the field goal. You take the points because you're on the road and you're only down 7 points, and this is the first time you've had the ball. What you do there is you answer the team that went down and scored on their opening drive. You quiet the crowd a little bit. You take a little bit of the momentum away. Not all of it. No, not if you had scored. But you take a little bit of it away. Instead, you don't. Trey. Sorry, I need somebody to get these dogs. Instead, you don't, and you end up not getting anything and allowing the Raiders to keep their momentum. Lions, that was a terrible decision to go on that 4th down on your first offensive drive. And momentarily, home tempers the crowd, but that's not what the pencil Patricia says. He says, "Go for it, baby," and he pencils in a touchdown throw from Stafford to Marvin Jones. That's right. It turned out into a touchdown throw from Stafford to Marvin Jones. Maybe that's why the game was so close for so long. Who knows? Maybe I don't know anything. But personally, I take the points. Crazy good pick by Daryl Worley. I just have to give the guy a shout out. I know Harris got a lot of love in this last Thursday night game against the Chargers. Their secondary is starting to come around, starting to look good there in Oakland, and future Vegas there. But Daryl Worley, props to you, brother. That was an amazing pick. It's like I said before the year started, the Lions are going to be competitive all year, and they will get some upsets, but they will also end up on the wrong side of the WL column in a lot of nail-biter games. Josh Jacobs ties Marcus Allen for most 100-yard rushing games by a Raider rookie running back at 3. It's not a lot, right? But hey, that's Marcus Allen is a beast. All right, going on to Green Bay at the Chargers, guys. The Chargers had not scored on their opening drive in their previous 11 games. I say this in past tense as they did not score a touchdown on their opening drive in this one either. So make that 12 games in a row for the Chargers with their red zone woes. A lot of Packer fans were at this game, a lot of disappointed Packer fans at the end of the game, but it just goes to show you that the Chargers don't belong in Los Angeles. The only way to beat Aaron Rodgers, and I told you guys I would cover this later, here's the way that it works. There's only one way to beat Aaron Rodgers. If you try to, I'll just read what I wrote. We're going to get off topic if I don't. You need to do it with multiple defensive backs in coverage. If you use extra guys to blitz, Rodgers will beat you. The Chargers are very good at their nickel and dime packages. You saw last year in the playoffs that they will play, Chargers that is, will play extra DBs in lieu of linebackers at times. This is how they shut down Rodgers and the Packers this last week. This doesn't mean every team can do this. It's a blueprint to beat Rodgers, but not every team has the personnel to enact this blueprint. This is also why they were able to get there with just 4 pass rushers. Basically, guys, Rodgers is too good for you to blitz. If you send an extra man at Rodgers, there are some quarterbacks who fold under a blitz. Some would say, Jared Goff under a blitz doesn't do well. You name them, don't do well under blitzes if you get the pressure there. And you got to bring extra men to do it, just to put pressure on this guy. There are other guys who, when they see the blitz and they're too smart to not see it, guys like Rodgers, guys like Brady, they will pick you apart. They know you're sending that extra guy. They know who's going to be open and where on the field he'll be open at, and they're going to get it off. They're going to beat you, and they're going to beat you bad. If you can drop back in coverage against guys like Rodgers, guys like Brady, and you could press them with just 4 pass rushers, but disguise coverages deep, and you have multiple secondary players who can play and stay close to the defender or to their offensive counterparts while that's happening, it's gonna bode well for you. You're gonna do well against Aaron Rodgers. It's what the Niners had to do to beat him in the playoffs a couple years, or 5 or 6 years back now. It's what you have to do to beat Rodgers. And the Chargers are probably the best team at this. They have multiple skilled secondary players. The Niners are another good team that could do this. They have multiple players in their secondary that are very skilled, very talented. They have linebackers that are just okay. They'll take those linebackers off the field, they'll throw in a bunch of secondary, and they'll say none of their wide receivers nor running backs out of the backfield are getting open. So go ahead and run it right up the gut. Or, we're betting that our front 4 will get to you before one of your receivers gets open from our skilled and talented secondary that's running all over the field back there. The multiple guys that we just have out there. So it's something that I'm sure a lot of teams know about trying to beat Rodgers, and guys, Brady's very similar in this fashion. But can you do it? And not a lot can. So hats off to the Chargers, but that's why the Chargers went out and beat the Packers and then lost to a team like the Raiders, because that strategy isn't good for every team. The Raiders will run the ball right up the gut with Josh Jacobs, and then you need good linebackers. Buccaneers at Seattle, guys. Buccaneers hung in there for a long time. The deflection touchdown catch from Winston that ended up in the hands of Perriman, although bad luck for Seattle, is very well deserved. The amount of times, as a Niner fan, that I've seen the ball bounce in Seattle's favor is unreal. In fact, this has happened so much that I've often seriously considered that Pete Carroll may have made a deal with the devil in exchange for his soul. Not a joke. I'm not sure there is anyone in the league right now that is better at throwing an over-shoulder pass than Russell Wilson. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Is there anybody in the NFL that throws a better over-the-shoulder ball right now than Russell Wilson? I'll wait. No, there's not. That's the answer. I get it. Tom the Magnificent, the GOAT, is still alive and very well and doing fine in New England. He's not what lost them their perfect season against the Ravens. He doesn't throw an over-shoulder the ball at this point in his career the same way that Russell does at this point in his career. So I got to give it to Russell Wilson, guys. There's really, even Aaron Rodgers, he's more of a back shoulder guy, a bullet thrower guy. It's not the same. That touch pass, that over-the-shoulder, that right in the hands of the receiver, nobody does it better than Wilson. Nobody. That's going to be tough for the Niners coming up. I'm not sure. Jacob Hollister scores 2 touchdowns. Don't worry if you don't know who he is, guys. Nobody does. Wilson has thrown 22 touchdown passes and 1 pick this year. That's insane. Chris Carson is the first player to rush for over 100 yards against the Buccaneers. I threw that in there because you look at the Buccaneers and the first thing you say is definitely not, that rush defense is really good. So I thought that was pretty surprising. Chris Carson, I told you guys a couple weeks ago, he is a beast. Pats at Ravens. The Ravens end the Pats' perfect season and leave the Niners as the only undefeated team in the NFL. I keep bringing the Niners up if you guys haven't noticed because I'm very excited about them. I'm a very big Niner fan.